The Life I Deserve, sharing creative ideas, inspirational stories, and fresh perspectives that will empower you to live your life to the fullest.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield, and you're listening to The Life I Deserve by my good friend, Adrian McMillan.
Hello, this is Adrian McMillan with The Goal Show, brought to you by The Life I Deserve. I am honored to have today as a guest, Franz-Philippe Przybyl. He is a growth catalyst, serial entrepreneur, speaker, and author of the book PowerStart, How to Kick Off Your Day and Energize Your Life. Welcome, Franz.
Hi, Adrian. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's great to have you here. So yeah, we met at Breakthrough to Success a couple of years ago.
That's right.
I have to say that you impressed me. I don't know if I actually met you before we had the Come As You'll Be party.
Yeah, right.
But I remember speaking to you at the Come As You'll Be party, and I was impressed by your drive, your determination, and your vision 5 years into the future. Your goal was to already have that book written and to have, I think, like 1 million copies sold. And you inspired me to set bigger goals. I just wanted to say that right off the bat.
Oh, good.
You've already
Thanks a lot.
been an inspiration to me. I would love for my audience to get to know a little bit about you and what motivates you. So please feel free to give us a little more.
All right. Thanks again for having me here. Yes, it was a great experience, that PDS back in 2016, almost 2 years ago now. So first of all, a little bit about me. I'm 45 years old, married, have 2 lovely kids. I'm based in Berlin, in Germany. And I'm an entrepreneur. I run 2 different companies. I am a growth catalyst. You're probably interested to know what that is. I'll tell you later. Keep the suspense. As I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a fund management company. I run an online roofer here in Germany, the first of its kind in the world. And basically, what I came up with, by heart, I'm a real entrepreneur and entrepreneurially minded. And many people ask me to bring that forward and teach them. And they ask me questions and I answer them. And they said, "Oh, I'm so inspired by you and you teach that well. Why didn't you do more out of it?" And that's basically my nighttime job. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I'm starting making online courses, to bring that energy to the people, to help them grow ideas and projects, companies, and so forth.
It is impressive how much you have already accomplished and you're continuing to accomplish. So obviously not just a master of self-development, but also a master of time management, it sounds like, and productivity. So I'm very interested to hear more about how you develop those skills. And of course, we got to get into the growth catalyst thing. Should we do that now?
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking, what do I do? Because people normally talk about trainers, coaches, but as I am an entrepreneur myself, I can't really say I'm a coach doing that full time, because I have other things that I'm doing in the majority of my time. So I was thinking, what is it that helps people to grow without getting used up at the same time? And that's a catalyst. I don't know whether you remember back in school, I had it, ash, and then if you put that on sugar, that it burns. That's a catalyst. Sugar by itself doesn't burn. The ash doesn't get used up, but together it's lighting a fire. And that was my whole idea, that I want to light the fire and help people grow. People have ideas, people have projects, they have companies, and sometimes they're like, what do I do about it? Or they have an idea that they want to develop. And that's what I want to help them. And that's why I said, I think Growth Catalyst is exactly the right title, that some of the learnings that I had, that I pass it on, that some of the things that I've done over the time, and I always done intuitively, and I found out how I did it, and to get the energy going and flowing, so that I pass it on to the people. Yeah, and that's why I call myself a growth catalyst, and that's why I try to bring that energy and that knowledge to other people as well.
I love that. And I do think that's the perfect word for it. I forgot about catalyst and the meaning of catalyst, but that's great. It's like you provide that extra ingredient that's needed to get where they want to go. I love that. Do you feel like you were always a catalyst, or do you feel like at some point there was something in your life that was pivotal to take you in that direction?
Yeah, I think there was always stuff that I did intuitively. So many of the things that today people are talking about, you need to visualize, you need to have your goals set up, you need to know where you're going, what's your 10-year sort of goal. Um, I had all of that when I was really, really young. And maybe I can go back like 30 years. So when I was about 15, 16, I was thinking, what should I do? I have three ways that I could do. I could become a dancer. I could become a scientist, or become again an entrepreneur, a business person. So pretty diverse setting. So I tried out the few things, and then I said, no, I'm definitely going for the entrepreneurship. And I knew that at 16, and so I looked around also what can I do to study this, and there was a specific school, and at 16 I already looked that out. I had already started a little company on my own to earn some money, and I was very determined. And everybody who's wanted to hear it or not, I told them, you know what, at 28 I'll be the CEO, and at 30 I'll be a millionaire. And both I managed to get done 2 years early. When I was 26 I was appointed CEO by a bank subsidiary, and at 30 I was a millionaire. However, that was back end of the 90s with the new economy, the dot-com development, and that was so-called MOP, millionaire on paper. So he had all the shares. I invested everything, and then with the explosion of the new economy and the Twin Towers, all of that was gone. So that brought me down to zero. I rebuilt everything again, and was just concentrating on myself, sort of to get it done. And then people were asking, well, how did you do that? I said, well, actually, good question, but I never thought more about it. And then something similar happened, when was that? 2009, 2010, in the aftermath of the financial crisis. I had built another company that was really brilliant. We made millions of dollars, and it got completely smashed in the aftermath of the financial crisis. I was back to zero. I had a big personal crisis, put on weight, didn't do any sports anymore, no sleep, too much sugar, problems in my marriage, and everything, you can name it. Was in debt, had to sell my house to pay sort of for my ongoing expenses. And I was like, I got to do something about it. I mean, in the past I had energy. Where is all of that gone? And that's exactly when I started thinking more sort of structurally about, well, I've built stuff. So where did the energy come from? What did I do back then? So I started getting more into sort of this whole personal development, and found out that quite a lot of the things that I had done intuitively, or other way, quite a lot of the things that are being taught, I did that intuitively already when I was starting 12 years old. And basically then what I did, starting 2016, I went to BDS as one of these sort of kick in your bottom kind of exercise. I got to go there, get me motivated. And I said, well, I want to write this book. And it was then at this party you said, come as you will be in 5 years. I had just a cover. And then afterwards I found, well, I already have the book. I only need to write it.
I love that.
And that was a little bit like a personal therapy that I wrote through it. And I put a lot of thoughts that I had. Obviously, when you write a book, you need to structure this stuff. And that's what I went into. So I structured everything, thought about it. What did I do? How did I do? And put everything together. And the result was the book. And out of that, I was like, what am I doing here? And that's where the whole idea of Growth Catalyst came from. And that I want to do that now more structurally, because before people asked me, well, can you teach me this? Can you answer that questions? And they were already happy, and they were just like you, that what the energy you had and stuff that you bring across. So I thought, yeah, I think I should do further. And as I don't have time to do that full time with people, I chose like Growth Catalyst, and that I do online courses. I also want to do sort of weekend seminars where I transfer that energy to other people. Yeah, so that's a bit my story and where I'm standing today, and why Growth Catalyst and everything behind it.
Very impressive. You know, so many people would love to be able to just say what they really want, and to just say, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And there's a great power in doing that. It's part of that visualization, and you're actually putting it out there into the universe, and you're putting it out there, and you're being accountable. You did that from an early age, which is really impressive. And you didn't just say it, you followed through. And also, you stumbled along the way like we all do, and you just got up and you kept going. And very impressive how you built one business after another.
Thank you.
So what are some lessons that you feel like you learned when you did stumble, or when you did have a challenge? What is the thought process? How do you take that and turn it into a lesson, enable it to take you maybe further?
Yeah, I think there are obviously multiple points we could now discuss for a week what's going on, but we just have a couple of minutes. So maybe two or 3 points. One is really perseverance, that you stick to the goal, that you say, I really want to reach this, I really want to go for it, and go through hard stuff and hard times, and don't be deterred by it. And some of the things that I did was very interesting when I learned more and then got to know other interesting people. For example, I read a lot of and talked to also a lot of different like people like Navy SEALs, really sort of the epitome of people motivated, crushing through stuff. And then I learned so one of their motivation techniques is to cut down and get smaller and smaller and smaller in your goals, the harder it gets. First you say, let's say one around 20 kilometers. But if you have lots of gear and lots of stuff, and afterwards you say, well, I just want to make the next kilometer. And if you've been doing that for like 2 days, running through the fields with everything, it might not even be the next kilometer. It might be, well, I will make it to the next bush, which is 50 meters away. And then it go down to, I can do one more step. And I think that's important when you face challenges in your life. They just keep going, and if it becomes too big and too overwhelming, just cut it down into smaller pieces. And this is good for motivation, but also good in goal setting. I have a whole system that I developed, and that will be probably my next book, sort of the goal action pyramid, that from goals to get to individual steps of next action, you need to make sure that it's in digestible steps, because sometimes people are overwhelmed by something. Oh, this big goal. What can I do about it? And then they don't do anything because it's just too far away. If you have that vision ingrained in yourself that, one day I will be there, and then you say, okay, now I need to make the steps that I can do. And that's the emphasis, that you can do. If the big steps you cannot do yet, do the small steps. If that's too small, just crawl. If that's too small, just go a little bit further. It's not giving up. That's the most important point.
Great. The people that pursue self-development stuff and they consume the courses and they read the material, they're working so hard to get to this mindset that you already had at such a young age, which is really great. So when you went through this process of chunking down your goals, did that just seem natural?
Well, when people look at the outside of stuff that's been achieved, they always look, oh, this looked so easy. It was so easy, but it hardly ever was. I think if you talk to anybody who's big and well-known and who's done great stuff, if you ask them, well, was it hard in between? Did you have challenges? Did you feel overwhelmed? Everybody will say yes. And who doesn't, he's lying. Just as simple as that. Mm-hmm. So yes, there are times when you feel overwhelmed. And that's exactly when you got to cut back and say, okay, what can I do now? When after the financial crisis, everything was tough. Everything was hard. In the morning to get up was hard. So then I had to really just cut it down sort of to pure survival, and then take the next steps and then go through and further and further. And then after a while, then you get used to it and you say, oh, I survived this. Let's go to the next part. And I think that's an important thing, that the lessons that you need to push yourself. You need to push yourself to your limits and beyond your limits. Mm-hmm. And that's something I learned, I think, when I was doing sports at a young age. That was very helpful, that you really go to the limits, go further than that. And I think today what many people are, you mentioned also the personal development, personal growth community, they read stuff and they consume things, but you really need to do it. Just do it. From Nike, that's very pointed. Just do it and then do it again. And action is the key to everything. And so just thinking about something or thinking is very easy. It's not. There's always something hard, and somebody who tells you it's dead easy. No, it's not. You got to go through something hard and you will develop. Who was it? I think it was Harv Eker who said, don't look at sort of minimizing your problems. Look at growing yourself, because then in relation, the same problems will be smaller. And I think that was also my goal always, that I always looked at something. You got to look at it, how to improve. If there's something bad, don't take it personally. in whatever sense that is,
Mm-hmm.
and just take the learnings out of it. And I think that was also what gave me strength, that I said, if I'm going through this, afterwards, what are the learnings? I'm not being bitter about it and saying, oh, this was hard, or why didn't it work out? Well, you can't change it. Just take it. Appreciate what you have, and then go through it, and then look back. What are the learnings? And then apply them. You can do any error there is, as long as you don't do them too often, because then you're not learning. Try to make as many different mistakes as possible, because at some times you have covered all of them. But the important part is always, what do you learn out of it? Out of personal interactions, out of business things, out of financial things, physical, you name it. And I think that was my mantra. Really learn, continue to learn out of it. What did you take? And then improve it next time.
That's great. I love that. You know, years ago, before I found Jack Canfield's material and went on to study Anthony Robbins and Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey, before I knew all that, you were one of those people that I would have looked at and said, they must have more than 24 hours in their day. They must be from another planet. How in the world are they getting so much done? What can you offer my listeners and my viewers on how to focus? Like, let's say, you know, beyond this one big goal they want to accomplish, there's like 5 goals they want to accomplish. How can people get and stay focused so they actually make progress on something, and then they're able to maybe shift gears to something else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Focus is very, very important. What I was a big believer in is sort of not just ideological, concentrate on one thing, but everything is more holistically connected together. So you have the mind, the body, mood. How is that all intertwined? And once you understand that there's an interconnectedness between all of them, and not just one way, but everything is bidirectional, that's then the key, that you can tap more energy all the time. So you got to think about things properly. Obviously, you got to treat your body well, that you do sort of exercise, you eat healthily, but there is also breathing exercise. And there was lots of stuff that I never was aware of. For example, that I did through my sport, like the deep breathing that you have, certain rhythmic breathing that I developed myself. I did high intensity interval training before anybody knew about it, that it was even told what it is. I just did it intuitively. And sort of that helped. When I looked at my goals, I had my very, very big term goal that I wanted to do. And then I broke it off to smaller things. And even though I did a lot of things, I always didn't do it completely in parallel, not like complete multitasking, but always one after the other, but in very concentrated bursts. And then in between, I enjoyed myself. So for example, at school, I was sort of one of the top 3 people from over 100 people, students in school and university. I was in the top percentage. And in the end, everybody was looking at me and said, how did you do that? Because you didn't learn all the time. I said, yeah, because I made concentrated bursts and then I let go. Concentrated burst and let go. So you concentrate, you don't wobble around all the time with stuff. For example, before exams, people say, I got to learn all day. I said, no, if what you haven't learned now, it just makes sense. Yeah, I said, I make sure I go to bed early so I have a really good night's sleep so I can tap everything I have in my head better. If I try to stuff in more, it doesn't work. And I said, why don't you just learn while you're in the lesson? Then you don't need to relearn afterwards. So concentrate there and then afterwards forget about it. And there's stuff, for example, back then that I only found out today. I'm taking notes like crazy. People are like, what are you doing? I mean, I fill a notepad a week, just notes that I have through meetings. People are like, what is this? And what I only found out later, for example, that it's scientifically proven, if you write something down and you take notes and you summarize it, that it stays much better in the memory than you type. So today I'm still writing. I'm always writing. I'm making the summary, I'm re-summarizing it. And by doing that, it already is all entrenched in your brain. And I draw pictures, put things together and cross notes. So I start with an empty sheet of paper. In the end, it's not neatly one after the other. It's like full and left and right and straight. And what I only learned afterwards, that's how your brain works. Your brain is not a list of things. Your brain is interconnected. It's from left to right. And if you try to make more of these things, these connectedness in your head, your brain learns easier. And so that's why I could pull things more. And then when I said, how do you get to do different things. First of all is doing things one after the other. And always the other point is being open for opportunities. Because that's what I realized, what many people, they focus just on one certain thing, and that gives them tunnel vision. And if they have this tunnel vision, they have opportunities. They always say, oh God, you see this and this, you come by so many opportunities. I said, you know what? We walked down the same road. I saw opportunities and you just saw one thing, just the pavement or whatever. And that's the important thing. Open your eyes, open your mind. And even though today many people say focus on things like in education, I was always very broad. I tried to do as many things as possible. Or in my first job, people said, you know what? You're the dustbin of the company. Everybody dumps their projects on your desk. You're stupid. And I said, no, I'm really smart. You know why? And they looked at me like, what do you mean you're smart? Are you sort of bragging around? I said, no, I don't talk about that. I'm just saying I'm grabbing every single project there is. Okay, I was working maybe sometimes 20 hours a day, but I got to, in those 2 years, I learned more than other people in 20 years. And you got to put in the effort. That's the point. Nothing comes easy and for free. In the end, stuff is easier because you've built your foundation. But building a foundation is always hard work. And if you invest that hard work, that will repay afterwards. And that's what I did early on. That's what brought me to where I am today.
Wow, so much great advice there. I love that. It sounds like, correct me if I'm miswording this, but it sounds like you were always open for all the opportunities and grateful and noticed opportunities that helped you to achieve your goals. So you were open to that, but also you were focused. So it was not so much multitasking, it was more focused. Your intention was there and getting something done, yet your mind was open to noticing any opportunities and appreciating those, which is really great because we all have opportunities all around us. And it's so much of our life is our perspective, our mindset. Do we notice these? Do we pay attention to these? Or do we just notice problems and issues and obstacles?
Yeah, I have an opportunity mind. Whatever I see, there's always an opportunity. So people say, oh, what's this? I say, oh, I could do business out of this. I could do business out of this. Oh, this would be a great idea. This could be a great idea. And people are like, huh? I said, just go open about it and think in the opportunity that's behind it. And I think that's the same for all great people, that they always think in opportunities and they don't think in barriers. They always say, what's behind the barrier? Well, how could I expand that barrier? That's a new lines of thinking in science that they think differently. It's in business that they think differently. It's in the arts that people think differently. It's everywhere. Just be open and try to expand your mind, expand your body, expand everything that you have.
Awesome. And I love that you even broke it down to something as simple as breathing, because I have to remind myself, deep breaths, because, once we have so much on our plate, we have so much in front of us, it's easy to go into this mode where we take shallow breaths or we don't drink enough water. And those little things, the deep breaths, staying hydrated, they allow you to stay creative and to solve problems and to get things done. And it almost probably sounds silly to some people, like those elements are so simple, but they're so critical to just being in the right mindset.
Yeah, and that's, again, sort of combining two things, the simplicity and action. It's like, yeah, I know it. I said, so do you do it? What do you mean, do I do it? Like, yeah, breathing is important. Drinking is important. Yeah, so what do you do? Do you do that the first time in the morning, like drink some water? And people are like, huh? Why? Yeah, but later I have my coffee. I said, no.
I'm busy. I can't do it.
Water, the first time, I drink water even before I get up. Because overnight you lose about a liter of water. And so the first thing you are in the morning, you're dehydrated. You start dehydrated. And when I wrote my book, some of the consequences of dehydration are that, for example, your IQ levels drop down by 10 points. You're like, oh, yeah, you're over-exaggerating, but it's a bit harsh. I said, no, it's not a bit harsh. It's a fact. People are like, ooh, what? Yeah, and I said, just deep breathing connects sort of your brain things between the nose and what you have in your brain and your nervous system. There's a very strong connection in there. And meditation is very much just concentrate on your breath, go there. And that's what many people just don't do anymore. As you point out, it's just shallow breathing just from the top, or when they breathe deeply, they go. Says, no, that's not deep breathing. Your shoulders should stay down.
The air doesn't come into your shoulders.
Yeah, and that's when I sometimes conduct sort of short little seminars in my environment where I invite people to come over at evening, like for 1 or 2 hours. And one of the first things I do is like, okay, sit down and get up. Let's do some physical exercise to get your blood flow going, and do some breathing exercises. And so they're tired. They come here, it's 6:30 in the evening. Yeah, I want to listen to some of the stuff that you're saying. I said, no, you're not consuming. We're getting into action here. So like, oops, what's going on? And in the end, they're all pumped up and said, I feel like I just got up in the morning, but it's already in the evening. I have 12 hours of work behind me. I said, yeah, that's how it goes if you do it right.
Franz, you are a wealth of great information and you have all these great tools and processes. I know that some of my listeners and viewers are thinking, I need that extra ingredient. I need that catalyst. So how can they get that? How can they get in touch with you and learn more about your products and services?
Mm-hmm. So one is, obviously, I wrote my book, PowerStart. Do I have it somewhere here? I think I have someone. Yeah, here, I have one on my desk. Oh, there you go. Here you are. That's PowerStart. That's a book. Basically, I describe what I call the 8 essentials of success. 8 important components to be more happy and to be happier and more fulfilled and more energetic. And out of that, how to develop a perfect morning routine, because with the morning, that's sort of the starting point to get your energy. If you start bad, it can only get worse. So better start well. And that's one point. And you can also have a look at www.mypowerstart.com. It's the website on that. The book's available as paperback, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon. And I'm in the process of just developing a couple of online courses, picking up specific aspects of that. So one, for example, will be from goal setting to goal getting, not just setting your goals, but really getting to them.
Love it.
That will probably also be announced and visible on the website I just mentioned. And another program that I'm just shooting is called Desk Exercises. And is throughout the day, what many people have that say, I'm sitting, and actually sitting is the new smoking. When I got into the effects, I always thought sitting is bad, and I wanted to give people the chance to do something in the office, because during my workshops, I have them be active, like physically active. And I said, this is really great, but I feel a little bit silly doing jumping jacks in my cubicle or in the big office and the open floor if other people are watching me. What can I do to stay awake and energized? So I developed a whole series of exercises that you can do at your desk without other people really noticing, but you still have the same physical benefit. And when I prepared that, I looked at sort of what are the detrimental effects of sitting. And I said, actually a chair needs to be coming with a health warning. It's the cause of so many diseases and so many sort of shortening of your lifespan. It's really horrible. So that's why I developed this course, Desk Exercises, like from desk exercises in one word.
I love it. It's great.
That will come out soon, hopefully in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Great. Well, I'm going to put the links that you just mentioned into the show notes. Mm-hmm. And please let me know so I can let my listeners and viewers know when you have the second book on goal getting. I love that. And I definitely would love to have you back at some point so you can just update mm-hmm. us on what new projects you're involved in, because
I'd love to.
You're definitely an inspiration on how much you get accomplished and your processes. I love it, that allow you to just get more and more and more done.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, Franz, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thanks a lot. And also, bye-bye and lots of energy for all your listeners and viewers.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, Franz.
Taking action is critical to get what you want out of life. And I want to help you to do that. So I have a free gift for you. Go to thelifeideserve.com/action to download a simple yet beautiful guide on why it's important to take action and how to do it. Again, thelifeideserve.com/action.
Thanks for listening. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a passionate, fulfilling life. Subscribe so we can take this journey together. A journey of sharing, learning, and growing. A journey to the life you deserve.